guys, we're going to carry on with our story, The Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell. Yesterday we finished chapter 6 with Crusher and the pony being taken away, leaving Wish, Zar and Bodkin still in the Badwoods, and Zar still got Wish's enchanted sword. So I wonder if Wish is going to get that back. Let's find out in chapter 7. Wizard Encampment. The animals flitted through the maze of the dark forest for what seemed like hours. Wish, Zar and Bodkin crossed the frozen river and the broken ghost wall that marked the end of warrior territory and the beginning of the land of the wizards. And eventually they reached a part of the wood that was so tangled and mangled with briars and fallen trees and vines that it was impossible to carry on. The moon came out from the clouds, and Zar got Ariel to point at the barbed mountain of choking vegetation in front of them. In front of Wish and Bodkin's astonished eyes, the brambles and branches slid out and through and over each other, as if invisible fingers were unravelling a complicated knot from a fishing line. With a creak like the bending of ancient knees, the trees swayed and bent to left and right, and the vegetation flattened, so that a clearing lay in front of them. The hairs stood up on the back of Wish and Bodkin's necks, as the quills might rise on a thorny hedgehog when they saw what lay inside the clearing. A truly gigantic circle of ancient trees, most of them giants. Yew, birch, rowan, alder, willow, ash, hawthorn, elder, apple, poplar. Every species you could imagine, the most important being the oak, of course. No sign of any human habitation, but a sound of music and a smell of chimney smoke. Now they were so far from home and so deep in enemy territory, Wish was beginning to feel very, very frightened. What if Zar held them to ransom? Zar said he would let them go the next morning, but Zar didn't seem very trustworthy. "Where's your fort?" asked Wish shakily. "Underground," said Zar. Imagine a camp that has been sunk underground. Each one of those gigantic trees was hollow and drew light down into the rooms hidden underneath. Zar led them to the tree tower which housed his room, a great ancient yew, so wound round on itself that it looked as though in the tree's youth a giant had taken it gently by the topmost branches and twisted the trunk round in its hands as if the yew were a piece of clay. They climbed a series of ladders and platforms and in through the window of Zar's room. Wish's heart sank even further. There was no way out now. They were stuck here, surrounded by enemies. What if Zar told the other wizards about her? What if there were wizards worse than Zar who really could magic you into a slow death? She felt a little sick. There was no ceiling in Zar's room, so above them was the night sky and the stars. The floor had such huge cracks in it that you could see right down into the main hall 40 feet below. "Don't worry," said Caliburn reassuringly to the astonished Bodkin and Wish, watching Zar strolling across a floor that seemed to be made partly of air. "The floor is held together by magic." Zar opened his rucksack and took out the spelling book to find the spell about turning people into worms. It was right beside the page that told you how to turn people into cats. Easy. And cats back into people. Trickier. First, Zar thought he would punish Luther by turning him into a worm using the witch magic. Then, in a dramatic climax, he would draw the sword and show everyone how he could use magic that works on iron. And then, of course, they would all start clapping and cheering him, chanting his name. His own father would bow down before him, saying, "Zar, I am so sorry I ever doubted you. I always knew you were something special. I know we have had our misunderstandings in the past, but you are the hero we have all been waiting for." It was all going to be so satisfactory. Zar memorised the spell and slammed the book shut. "Come on, sprites," said Zar briskly. "The competition is going to start in a couple of minutes, and we need to get down there so I can humiliate Luther. Everyone follow me, except you, Forest Heart, Night Eye, King Cat, the Bear, and Squeeze Shoes." "Oh, why does Eyes have to stay behind?" said Squeeze Shoes. Well, you seem to like the warriors so much, said Tsar pointedly, for he had been feeling a little jealous. So you can stay here and guard them. Don't you worry, boss. I'll protect them. I didn't say protect them, Squeezes. I said guard them. They're enemy prisoners. But I did once to comes with you and see you turns into a werewolf, said Squeezes, very disappointed. I'm sure I can see a few more hairs on his arms already, hissed Tiffenstorm, eyes bright with malicious pleasure. Oh, shut up, both of you, snapped Tsar. I'm not going to turn into a werewolf. This is witch blood, and I'm going to use it to perform magic. But you don't know if it will work yet, Caliburn pointed out. And shouldn't you find out what that stain is before you go in front of a whole load of other people and possibly turn into a werewolf in front of their eyes? Tsar looked at him as if he were completely crazy. But that would mean waiting, Tsar replied. And the spelling competition is happening right now. Anyway, even if the witch blood doesn't work, I know the sword works. You're not allowed to take swords into the spelling competition, Tsar, let alone iron ones, said Caliburn. And it's our sword, protested Wish. I wish you'd stop saying that. This is a magic sword, said Tsar, so it belongs to me, and all your gloomy what you give to the universe will give back to you stuff, Caliburn. Well, all I can say is, by bringing this sword to me, the universe clearly thinks I'm pretty special. And the universe is right, squealed Squeezes. There was no talking to Tsar when he was in this kind of mood. The universe is really tipping it down now, said Caliburn gloomily, as big splatters of rain came down on their downstairs in the main hall. The jubilant sound of dancing giants and happy voices could be heard. Upstairs in the little room tangled with jungle vines, swaying in the wind, rocking like a boat on the sea, a heavy drenching rain was now falling into Tsar's room. Why on earth would you design a room with no ceiling, wondered Bodkin. It's not very practical. Tiffenstorm, said Tsar, do us a weather spell before we all drown, and you'll have to stay here to keep the spell up so the prisoners don't get wet. Tiffenstorm huffed crossly. Why is it always me who has to do everything? I wanted to see the spelling competition. Before sulkily looking in her wand bag and getting out a number 4, she picked out a spell and battered it up in the air with the wand, and a nice little invisible umbrella of wind sprang out of the end of the spell, hovering some 3 or 4 feet above them, so that the rain poured over the edges in a waterfall. Oh my goodness, that's incredible, marvelled Wish. Don't be impressed, warned Bodkin. Remember, magic may look attractive on the outside, but it is danger, it is chaos. You have to admit, it's extremely useful if you don't want to get wet though, said Tsar. A ceiling works quite well too, said Bodkin. Tsar slammed the door and locked it. He's taken the sword with him, said Wish, very disappointed. We'll just have to wait till he comes back, and then we can steal the sword off him when he's asleep. Okay, so, say we do successfully manage to steal the sword off Tsar, said Bodkin. How do we get back to our fort? We can't walk back, it's miles away. Oh dear, Tsar was right. We're prisoners, said Wish, peering out of the window into the blackness of the night. It was a long way down to the bottom of the tower, and there was absolutely no sign of the giant or the pony. And I'm worried that poor Crusher might have been captured by my mother's warriors. Poor Crusher? He's a giant, Wish, said Bodkin, very shocked. Whose side are you on? With a heavy sigh, Wish turned away from the window and picked up the spelling book that Tsar had carelessly left on the table. Bodkin, you have to see this book. This is unbelievable, said Wish, forgetting her fear and her anxiety and nearly dropping the book in her excitement. We really shouldn't have anything to do with these things, Wish, said Bodkin uneasily. They're magic. We shouldn't be looking. We shouldn't be listening. We shouldn't be holding them. But this book says it has 6 million pages in it. That's impossible, said Bodkin, peering over her shoulder despite himself. For Bodkin loved books, and a book with 6 million pages in it was something he had to see. "Look," said Wish, "it says it's a complete guide to absolutely everything you need to know about your magic world. Maps, recipes, magic species, wizards, witches, dwarves, goblins, lynxes, dwarves, sprites, and then there's a breakdown of all the different types. And then there's a section on lost words. That sounds interesting. Languages, dwarvish, elvish, giantish, Dorish." "What's Dorish? I didn't know doors spoke." The book was very confusing to read because lots of the pages were falling out, and when they floated back in again they were in a different order, and whoever had written it was very disorganised and kept on going off on tangents that might lead somewhere or might be dead ends. "And some of the spelling in this book is nearly as bad as mine," said Wish triumphantly. "That's not a good thing, Wish," Bodkin said. "You know your mother would say there's only one way to spell things, and that is the right way. Anything else is chaos, disorder, anarchy." But Wish wasn't listening. "Oh my goodness, look, I'm in this book," said Wish in astonishment, turning to a picture in the giant section. "And Crusher, how is that possible?" Bodkin squinted over her shoulder. "Well, that's just a picture of a girl, isn't it? Doesn't have to be you." "The girl has a spoon on her head," Wish pointed out. "So she does," sighed Bodkin. "I suppose it could be you because this book is magic." Bodkin shivered because it was really quite an eerie thought that a book could be magic enough to write you into it without you knowing. Which is why we really should not be reading it. I'm only looking at it to see if it can help us escape. Squeezes and Tiffinstorm and the Snowcats were not doing a very good job of guarding Zar's prisoners. It had been a long, tiring day, and they had all fallen asleep. So maybe they could escape, thought Bodkin, his heart lifting. Now, how did Zar make it work, frowned Wish. He tapped on each page on the contents page. He tapped on each letter on the contents page, and the pages magically turned to the right place. "Bother, my spelling isn't that good. Bodkin, could you help?" Bodkin leaned over Wish's shoulder and tapped. "How do you escape from a magic tree in a wizard's fort and make your way through the Badwoods when you have no transport, no map, and no means of knowing where you are?" Into the spelling book. However, all the answers seemed to involve some sort of specialist equipment, like flying carpets or shoes with wings, and a lot of them pointed out all the dangers of the Badwoods in horribly realistic and ghoulish detail, such as giant cats and werewolves and mushrooms with teeth, and Bodkin didn't particularly want to be reminded of these. The two of them jumped nervously at an unbelievably loud noise coming from below Zar's locked room. A noise like about 20 thunderclaps going off at the same time, which was the sound of some of the wizards in the main hall below fighting each other. "Good gracious, what was that?" exclaimed Bodkin. Wish peered down between the cracks in Zar's walls, and she could see right down into the main hall. The spelling competition was beginning. Right, so I wonder how Zar's going to get on in the competition, and I wonder if Wish and Bodkin are going to be able to escape. Find out tomorrow. Bye.